Hello everyone. This is going to be a shortish, completely out of bounds video that I did want to make, but obviously a lot of you have been asking me in the light of recent events and updates and just general drama. But I did want to play, I did want to play a little bit, just, to get a bit of a feel myself for things, and I haven't had, as usual, a lot of time. So I want to give you, my thoughts on the recent things that have been going on. So let's begin with the big drama that has happened over in the PC world of things, which is quite different from the Blitz corner that we are in. But there were kind of like two major points that I've been taking away from the big community contributor walkout over in PC. One of them was that there was a major complaint about loot crates. Now, given that Blitz is a mobile game, loot crates are probably a bit more familiar to people because loot crates have been, essential in-game purchases, and loot crates have been essential items in mobile games for, a long time. But so what do I personally think about loot crates, especially under the light of that, there are kids playing these things? Well, first of all, if you're a parent and you let your kid play on a device that has unlimited access to a credit card, then you're not doing it right. You do need to secure those things, right? There are these kind of stories out about parents who've lost thousands of dollars because their kids just went on a shopping spree on Amazon or something. Devices have security measures that you can use for these sort of things, such that you need to enter a password. Do I agree with exposing kids to basically gambling mechanics? No, not really. Gambling in general is a dangerous a form of entertainment, kids or not. And people will eventually be in their life exposed to gambling in all its forms and shapes and sizes. May it be casino, may it be sports bet, may it be just a scratch it at or lottery or something like that. But gambling will be always something that you'll be exposed to. Doesn't mean we should be exposing kids to it. That said, at least one thing, let's if we look at a crate, at the very top, what you see in a crate is a probability. And that probability tells you that if you open that crate, that is the probability that you get this item inside the crate. So if you're, for example, trying to get the Strasbourg, there is a 1.59% chance that you get the Strasbourg. It's not that you're not getting anything else. I mean, you get all manner of stuff, right? But you might end up with something that's not particularly valuable, like 6 hours of a camouflage for 560 gold. I do make regular videos about premium ships and about occasionally videos about the chances and what these mean and what the math behind this means and how much money you have to invest in these things. I also make videos about the fact that premium ships by themselves are not technically better and are most certainly not going to make you win the game all by themselves. You still need the necessary skills to do these things. The other question comes around bundles, right? Would you pay, or historical camos, or all of these things that you can have as in-game purchases, right? It's a free-to-play game. You don't have to purchase any of that stuff. You can if you want to. And is it expensive? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at, there's a tier 7 carrier here that sells for $50. This is Australian dollars, so you're going to have to convert that in your own currency. But $50 is where I would say it's a brand new full game on, well, maybe not the latest, but it's a brand new full game on PC or Xbox or something like that for like a single ship and its historical camo, when we've got hundreds of ships in the game. Well, such is usually the mechanism of free-to-play games, because someone has to pay for it eventually, and as long as you don't get forced to do so, I'm kind of all right with it. And you do get gold. I mean, not in large quantities, but you can get gold out of things like the Blitz Pass, where you get a decent amount of gold. Now, should you be gambling with that gold? A different story. Should you be having to buy subscriptions to get resources? Different story. Once again, Especially when it comes to kids, and you look at has anybody who has kids? I mean, I've got a 9-year-old turning 10 soon, and have you seen the kind of games, right? Have you seen things like Fortnite? Have you seen things like Roblox? All these things that they have massive pay to win / loot crate / in-game purchase mechanics. You're not going to get away from that sort of stuff easily. So for me, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. Now, I do know that on PC, there've been some really scammy things, especially around the crates. And this is something I feel like we don't really have here. I still don't like the crates. I prefer if you want something, you pay for it, right? So you can go and buy a bundle. You pay $50, you get a Kaga. Or you can go and start gambling for Strasbourg, if you are so inclined. But once again, the crates actually tell you what your chances are. And 1.59% is not a chance I personally would be gambling for anything. Especially that you have things like the shipyard, where you can get ships for resources that you can get for free in the game, and they're premium ships and all kinds of these sort of things. So yeah, not a huge thing for me personally. The next item on my list is the community contributor treatment that have been happening over at PC, and the general fallout around things. How people have been treated, and how communications, or the lack thereof, really has been handled. So what does that mean for me? Well, once again, on Warships Blitz is an entirely different beast. So it's different people that I'll probably be communicating with, and different groups. I don't know how that's organized on the other side. For me, being a community contributor is something that is about mutual benefit. And to me, the mutual benefit here is that I, as a CC, get opportunities to do ship reviews that I would otherwise not have, because I sure as hell wouldn't be spending that much money to get all the premium ships and things that I get in that I can review for you. And I do get occasional things like giveaways that I can hand out to viewers, and these sort of things. On the flip side, Wargaming obviously gets a certain amount of promotion out of the fact that we're making videos and keeping people interested. But I also, at the same time, get the chance to, be a voice of education, if I can try, and moderation, and tell people, no, you don't need to spend that much money on premium ships. It's not going to make you win the game, so don't be disappointed if you do. Otherwise, you know what you get. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, to make it sure that you understand what it is that you're doing and what it is what you're getting. And at the same time, we also give feedback to Wargaming about issues, about direction, about the ships, and all these kind of things. So I would say it's under my expectations, it's a fair relationship. Right? I don't have the expectation that I get to tell developers in Wargaming what to do. I'm not talking directly to the developers to begin with, but that I can change the direction of what the company is going to be doing. This is not what that is, right? So that's my expectation, and I would say I'm happy with how this works so far. And communication and everything has always been respectful, at least in my little corner of interaction. Which brings us to the last item on my list, the update 4.4, which everybody is, I would say up in arms is probably an understatement. So people are clearly unhappy about this. And this is why I wanted to play, just get a little bit back into gaming for a while, because I didn't have too much time. So just to feel it for myself. Now, the first thing, when it comes to UI changes, anything that changes you away from a familiar UI is going to jar you to start with. And you're not going to like it. You're going to look at it and you're like, oh, this looks dreadful. This doesn't look anything like I'm used to. So that's why I wanted to, get used to it a little bit, to have a more neutral impression. And I'm not particularly fond of the new UI. Like, a couple of things are too small. It looks a bit modern for my taste. And as usual, it takes a minute to find your way around. But there are some items like the battle screens, for example. So, like for example, let's just start this here, and just do an AI battle. Like reading things like the chat is very difficult. A lot of the symbols are super tiny, and that big, where is it gonna be in a second? That big V, this one, right? I can barely see the ships that I'm gonna play with, because first of all it snaps very quickly, but doesn't usually happen in the other ones, but in these sort of things. But you can barely read anything. It's to the point where I obviously need to open this view here to actually get an idea what I'm playing against. The color scheme, the light blue, doesn't stand out in some maps very well. I mean, in some maps it works quite nicely. Like in this map, it's okay, I would say. But it can be a little hard to see at times. But I would say, honestly, I get used to that sort of stuff. The button positions are a little bit off. There's a bit too much space around things at the sides where there could be a little bit more to the corner. But honestly, that's all not really the issue for me, right? This is not something that I would get up in arms about. Yes, there will be adjustments. Yes, these things take time, because it's not that easy. You have to you have to redesign things. You have to test stuff. You have to do all kinds of things to do something like get that sort of design change to work. All these kind of things. So what is really bothering me much more is things that have been reported like crashes, frequent game crashes. I've personally didn't have game crashes, but this is something that people have said is happening really, really a lot. So the other thing being just extremely glaring bugs. So I've had problems with torpedoes, as you wouldn't believe, where I would literally be credited kills that I didn't do, and get torpedo hits left, right, and center that I didn't do. I had a game in the Akizuki where I did over 100,000 points of damage, and you can believe me that doing 100,000 points of damage in the Akizuki is something that I can pull off without that sort of thing. But most of the time it works, but sometimes, and I'm talking like every 5 games here, I get games where, I don't know, sometimes the torpedoes don't hit at all. They just go straight through the ship. Sometimes I get credited for kills and torpedo hits that I haven't even done. I've heard from carrier players that, it's pretty much unplayable because of the sheer amount of bugs that they are experiencing. So for me, this would be the more important thing to fix, because obviously, like we can talk about the blue versus green on the UI, but this sort of bugs is something, smoke bugs that mean that if you're being targeted, that the bots can still see you. That sort of bugs, like I wouldn't say game-breaking bugs, but bugs that are really, really annoying. That sort of thing, that's something I would prefer to be fixed earlier than like a UI, a layout change, right? So let's make sure that we are giving people time to get this right. Obviously, this is easy to say if someone plays a lot and it's really getting disturbed by it. But this sort of stuff takes time, and I'm saying this out of experience because I do this sort of thing professionally. I mean, not design, I do backend programming, but this sort of process does take time, and it's not the most important thing. It's the most visible thing, maybe like optical, right? But I personally would prefer if we actually got some attention to the bugs. And once again, this is something that we'll be lobbying for as well as CCs. Just reporting all these things and hoping that it does get some traction. So so just these kind of priorities. Now, does that mean with all these problems that I've mentioned, you see this? I'm in my smoke and the bot's targeting me. You see with all these problems that I mentioned, does that mean that I don't like to play the game anymore? No, not really. That's not it. I'm still enjoying the game, and if If I get a game where my torps don't work, or I get credited 5 kills where I didn't actually do, okay, I can shrug it off. Down the road, this is something that I would really, like not to be there. If I'm coming across a hacker who's or a cheater, you know who you are. You've seen you in your Sims recently in Respawn, and I get killed 3 times in a row by a teleporting Sims with ghost torpedoes. Yeah, shit happens. It's something that I can live with. But I really hope that we're going to get an improvement to this process. Also, the how we are going to, like, how these sort of changes are made and communicated and tested, because I think testing and QA is a big issue, and this sort of feedback is something that we can get. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. But once again, I'm not employed by Wargaming. I'm not being paid by Wargaming, and I have certainly no influence on how Wargaming conduct their business. So at the end of the day, it's their decision to do this. I think this is still one of the, if not the greatest mobile game that I have played. And I've been playing since early 2018. After years of gameplay, there are still things I learn. There are still facets that I'm figuring out, and there's still heaps of stuff that keeps me entertained. There's always something new. There's always something that I want to achieve, and something that motivates me to play around. Bugs and stuff puts a dent on it, but let's keep our fingers crossed that we're going to get things to go better. Anyway, that's my personal opinion. Everybody obviously is entitled to having their own opinion and drawing their own consequences and making their own decisions. But that's how I see things for myself. So I will certainly be continuing to do what I'm doing and try to get bug-free recordings for you that actually show off what the Akizuki is capable of. And actually, I did that already. So that video is already edited. It's the Modern Warships one that I still have to do tonight. But yeah, that video is already edited, coming out on Thursday. And after the slightly disappointing Mysore, I think you'll be having a lot more positive vibes coming in on Thursday with that one. Anyway, that's it. What I wanted to say, and hope you all have a good time. And don't let the negativity get to you. Enjoy the game, or put it aside for a while until the dust has settled, and then come back to it. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.